So in the last video we talked about regular functions. Now we're going to talk about adding function parameters to our functions. Okay, and so here we're just going to dive right into the video. Okay, so we're just going to define our first function as subtract. Okay, so we want to click subtract, and then we want to subtract certain types of numbers or certain numbers inside of our block of code, right? The code that we're going to put inside of our function. And so to do so, we don't want to just be calling arbitrary numbers like 1 minus 4 or whatever, right? We want to, you know, be using certain things that we call, all right? And so that's where our parameters come in. So in these curly braces right here, we're going to put our parameters. We're going to put, num1, num2, okay? And we're going to subtract two of our numbers, okay? And so let's just say that we're going to return num1 subtracted by num2. All right. Let's actually make this a little bit easier for the code to read. So we're going to say answer is equal to num1 minus num2. And then we're going to return our answer, right? So the code is so this function is going to go through everything inside of the block of code until it reaches this return, and then it's going to return our answer. Okay, and so then we're going to want to print out subtract. Okay, but within the subtract right here, we have to actually call our parameters. Okay, because num1 and num2 are just arbitrary numbers right now. Okay, they're just variables, and so we have to give value to the variables inside of these curly braces when we call our function. Okay, so let's say the numbers are 9 and 3. Okay, so it's going to say it's going to go through this function, and then it says subtract. Then it has our parameters 9 and 3 right here. So we're going to pass in 9. We're going to pass in the number 3. 9 minus 3, and it should return the number 6. And let's see what it does. And it returns the number 6. Okay, and that's pretty neat, right? Well, what if, right, our user somehow forgets to put in a parameter and he just says the number 9 right here, okay? Let's see what happens. Look at this. Our program is going to actually crash, okay? And we want to avoid all types of crashes in our Python program. So the solution to doing this is to add a default value, okay? And so we call our first number, which is the number 9, and we called our second number. We didn't call our second number right here, right? So we want to add a default value to our second number. So let's say the default value is 0, okay? So we call a default value 0. We call the number 1, and let's see what it does. It's just going to say 9, right? Because we set a default value. We can change this default value, right? All we need to do is just add it in ourselves. Alright, all we need to do is add it in ourselves, alright, and we see that they do 9 minus 8. But this default value kind of prevents our program from crashing, okay? We can set a default value for the number 1. Let's also set it to 0, okay, and let's forget to call the number 9. Well, actually, this is going to, it'll never reach this default value, right, unless we have 0 parameters. And let's just say it's 1, just to make it easier for you guys. It's also 1 again, right? Because we set a default value to number 1, all right? But it's very easy to override this default value when we start adding in parameters, okay? And so function parameters can go a lot further than just subtracting numbers. For example, if we had a resume, for example, all right, we had define function resume, and then, a resume will ask you for a name. And then here, let's delete all of this stuff right here. It'll ask you for a name. It'll ask you for, experience. And it might ask you for your, degree or something like that. Okay, let's say, let's set our default degree to bachelor's or something like that, or high school diploma. All right, and experience, 2 years, something like that. Name, um, math activity, right? And so, oh, it's going all the way over here. All right. And so, we set our default values. The reason why it's gray, by the way, is because we never used it yet in our function. We can start by saying, print name, print experience, and print degree. Okay, and look at that, it starts to turn green like this, noting a string. And so we can just print out print resume. Okay, and we already set our default value, so we actually don't. It's not required that we actually change it, but maybe we should change it. Let's say our name is actually Andrew. Okay, and let's just say that we forget to put in our experience and degree. And look at that, it auto fills it in us 2 years high school diploma, and we have the name because we set it to Andrew. And the reason why it says none here, by the way, is because we have no return statement in the function, right? I just want to clear that up so it appears as none. Okay? And so that, in a nutshell, is what functions with parameters are. And you can probably do your own research on why parameters are so important and how they can actually be used in real programs and in the real world. Okay, so go ahead, experiment with the functions by yourself, and I'll see you in the next video.